In the quaint Igbo village of Umuahia, nestled in Abia State, within the eastern region of Nigeria, lived a beautiful young woman named Nkechi. Her radiant smile could light up the darkest of rooms, and her piercing brown eyes sparkled with the stars on a clear night. At just 20 years of age, Nkechi's life had already been marred by tragedy. Her mother had passed away during childbirth, leaving her to face the cruel whims of her stepmother Ugeze. Ugeze, with her sharp tongue and cold heart, made Nkechi's life a living hell. She burdened Nkechi with endless chores, belittled her at every turn, and ensured that her father, Mr. Sunday, remained oblivious to his daughter's suffering. Ugeze's old daughter Adaeze was the apple of her eye, and she spared no expense in pampering the spoiled and lazy girl. As Nkechi blossomed into womanhood, suitors began to knock on their door, but Ugeze, driven by malice and a desire to secure a better life for Adaeze, her daughter, rejected every proposal that came for Nkechi. She would often taunt Nkechi, saying, "Who would want a motherless child like you?" Or, "You're not worthy of marriage, you're just a servant." Some other times, she could be so mean as to say, "Are you looking for somebody else to kill the same way you killed your mother?" One man, however, saw beyond Nkechi's hardships. Mr. Chooks, a kind and humble entrepreneur, had been smitten with Nkechi's beauty and kindness. He approached her father, Mr. Sunday, with a proposal, but Ugeze intercepted him, redirecting his attention to Adeze. "My daughter would make a perfect wife for you, she could. She's young, beautiful, and will make you proud." Mr. Chooks, though taken aback, politely declined, his heart still set on Nkechi. Just as Nkechi's hopes began to dwindle, a most unlikely suitor emerged. Mr. Nemeka, the village's notorious troublemaker, arrived at their doorstep with a proposal. His reputation preceded him, a history of thievery, violence, and deceit. Ugeze, however, saw an opportunity for a win-win. She would rid herself of Nkechi by marrying her off to this thief, and would, on the other hand, secure a wealthy son-in-law. She manipulated Mr. Sunday, her husband, convincing him that Mr. Nemeka's wealth and influence would elevate their family's status. Actually, Ugeze would have wanted Mr. Nemeka for her daughter, Adeze, blinded by greed, but Adeze rejected the offer. She was aware of Mr. Nemeka's thug life and illicit transactions that made money for him. As the wedding preparations commenced, Nkechi's despair deepened. She pleaded with her father to reconsider. The news of the coming wedding quickly spread round the village and got to Mr. Chooks. On his part, Mr. Chooks, sensing Nkechi's distress, made one final attempt to intervene, revealing Mr. Nemeka's true nature and offering to take Nkechi as his own wife. But it all sounded like a selfish ambition. Ugeze's poison had already taken root, and Mr. Sunday refused to listen. On the eve of Nkechi's wedding to Mr. Nemeka, the village police stormed his compound, arresting him for illegal drug possession and other crimes. The village elders, outraged by Nemeka's deceit, banished him from the community. As the news spread, Nkechi's family was left reeling. Ugeze's schemes had been exposed, and her plan to marry off Nkechi to the villainous Mr. Nemeka had been thwarted. Mr. Sunday, realizing his mistake, finally saw the error of his ways. In the aftermath, Mr. Chooks revisited the Sunday household. This time, he found a humbled Mr. Sunday willing to listen. "I was blind to Ugeze's manipulation," he admitted. I see now that you are the right man for my daughter. With tears of joy, Nkechi accepted Mr. Chuks' proposal. As they exchanged vows in a beautiful traditional ceremony, the village celebrated their union. Nkechi's beauty had finally found its perfect match in Mr. Chuks' kind heart. As they began their new life together, Nkechi discovered that Mr. Chuks was secretly wealthy, his humility and generosity having hidden his true status. It, but it was not his wealth that brought her happiness, it was his love, respect, and acceptance. In the end, Nkechi realized that true beauty comes from within and that best things in life are often hidden in plain sight, waiting to be cherished. And now you might wonder, how did they all end up? Nkechi and her wonderful husband, Mr. Chuks, built a life filled with love, laughter, and prosperity. They became pillars of the community, supporting local businesses and empowering young women. Ugeze, having learned from her mistakes, began to mend her relationship with Nkechi, eventually becoming a better mother figure. Adaeze, humbled by her mother's failures, transformed into a hardworking and compassionate individual, eventually finding her own path to happiness. As for Mr. Nemeka, his downfall served as a warning to other young men in the village who had been desiring to be as rich and influential as him. Now they realized that big dreams weren't enough but had to be matched with diligence and honest means. It was a win-win for everyone except for Mr. Nemeka, who had to pay for his past crimes.